What up? What up? What up? Oh, okay. I don't really know what I'm doing today. Oh man, what are we trying to do today? Well, the game's currently busted, so I'm gonna make it work, huh? Okay, but why am I rendering the wrong road placement? That's the question. UI state. When do I do this? Okay, so I make. Okay, so we're at placing road, placing settlement. Cool. Crank hog. Thank you for the prime. Great question how Catan is going. I broke it just a few minutes ago. I can unbreak it for you. And then I'll show you how it works. I'm actually like pretty happy with the architecture. That was like the hardest part. The hardest part was coming up with the architecture. But okay, so the way it works is I tried. Well, so first off, I've never made a game before. Well, okay, that's a lie. I've never made a multiplayer game before, so I've never had to like mess with this whole client server business. And of course, I started with a multiplayer game doing this, which was a bit of a mistake. But the idea is the bots are just other players, which is cool. So if you consider like there is a game there like in memory there is an authoritative game server that processes actions. So every time like anything happens on the screen, like if you click a button, that just it's kind of like the actor pattern. It just sends a message to the server, and then the server will respond being like, "Hell yeah, that worked," or not. And as it turns out, if you model the whole game that way, where it's just you have like a sender and a receiver of a channel of like processing stuff, the bots are just their own thing sitting somewhere else processing events. Dude, oh, I didn't do the emotes, man. Shoot. I was going to make Sherman an emote. And I think that would be awesome. Sherman's my dog, by the way. I was going to make Sherman an emote. I'll do that after this, after I get tired of streaming. But so, you know, when I click this, it's like place initial settlement, right? And then I place this like place initial road, and then that implicitly like ends the turn because of the UI business. And you do the same thing, you know, et cetera. And then that, you know, it passes it to the next thing, et cetera, et cetera. And then the way I've done the bots is I have wired up like every game context function that operates on the game. I've exposed them to steal. And so then it just expects like, okay, this on initial placement function, or like on turn, like if it's your turn, it'll do something, and then on trade offer, you'll do some action. So currently I just have some Rust code written for that part, so it doesn't do anything. And then on trade offer, it sort of calls it, and then it will use this. So the first thing it'll do is like it'll place an initial settlement, it'll place the road, and then just end the turn. But as you could see, this isn't legal. But if we wanted to say like propose a trade and then just like sit for 2 seconds while we wait for responses, the bots do that. So even though you can't trade on your initial, like that's not legal. If I like, okay, now it goes to the bot's turn, he proposed a trade. The next bot proposes a trade. Next bot proposes a trade. This is all, the UI needs some love. And also the fact that this is rendering like this is busted. But I was thinking this morning, there's some, well, first it would, making the bots actually sophisticated. I think that's the next sentence is, how would I program the strategy? So first, I did like Minimax in school. I don't know how you would do that for, I don't know how you do that for this. I'd have to think about it, like a lot. My first go at writing the bots was just going to be make them do exactly what I would do in any situation, because I think it'd be fun to like quote play against myself. Just kind of purely intellectual curiosity. Also, like my friends say that I'm too good at the game. I don't really think I'm that good, to be fair. But I did have like a 17 game win streak against one of my friends in particular. So I think he's like got a personal vendetta against me. So I think it'd be fun to like make a bot that was like, just have a bunch of different bots that have different flavors. That's like the first thing. They're not necessarily like good on their own, but they just have like flavor. So that would just be like writing the logic out about like what they would do. Throw in a bunch of heuristics and things like that. But besides that, I was reading some papers on, or not papers, just like blog posts and stuff. People have written projects for doing like reinforcement learning against Catan. And I think that would be really fun. Eventually could be a fun project. To like just have the bots play against each other and develop strategies that way. Whether or not I get to that point is besides. It's not really like I'm interested in it to like a modest degree. I think it'd be cool. But at the same time, I just, I'm using this as like a test bed for Steel to be like, does Steel work here? So I made a pretty big improvement with the embedding API. You may remember that like you have to implicitly pass the context for Helix. And like then everywhere you have to like template out the functions on the other side. I made it so we don't have to do that anymore. So I'm going to apply that to Helix probably tomorrow, or not tomorrow, probably Thursday. I'll update my branch to have the new API, the new way of doing things. So you don't have to like template out and like code gen the stuff. It'll just be like you can implicitly pass a context variable to a function through this register function. It's not new. It's just handy. It's not that new. It's like the same. So like this is the equivalent to register function, hex, edges, etc. And it really only applies when you want to have like all of the things in Helix and also in this. Yes, it's in the standard. It'll just be in the standard API. Yeah. So it's like this corresponds to a function on the other side where you're like hex, edges, context, or whatever, right? And the way I handle that in Helix was I just generated like I code gen libraries that just did this. Now, like if you register this module, the function like implicitly does this. You don't have to do that yourself. It will implicitly pass context in. I haven't merged it yet. And there's like pros and cons. There's There's pros and cons, but I felt like it was warranted. So I'll adjust. It'll like massively reduce the code in the PR too, so I think that'll make it a little bit nicer too. But yes, I agree. I think a deterministic kind of state machine, or like, deterministic, star, whatever, with an asterisk, actor model kind of stuff. It's nice because I'm like one, it's actually a huge pain in the ass for writing this because like there's like like there's threads and stuff going on. I wish I kind of wrote it in a more state machine-esque fashion, but like I naively whipped it together to run like truly multi-threaded, which is making my debugging life a little bit of a challenge. However, it is fun, and fun is the name of the game. So I'm just, tough day of work today. So I'm just I didn't want to look at steel. Yesterday, someone, gold, silver, copper, another viewer, also contributor, shout out, found like 2 bugs in steel quickly back to back. And the first one took me 4 minutes to fix. The second one took me like 3 hours to fix, but I did get them fixed. So I'm taking a day off of steel bugs unless I run into one tonight, in which case then I will be obligated to fix it. But otherwise we're just I'm feeling inspired to make games. And I think I love the architecture I've figured out here, but there's some flaws and I'm trying to work through them. And so that's the first step today, was hone the architecture. So the first thing is I'm doing a dude, I know. I asked them to lock it, but I don't know if they can. Like, as in, you can close issues, or you can close or something contributors, just limited contributors or something. I asked them to log it like a year ago, but you know what, whatever. I like to read the drama in the threads. People get really upset. Sometimes that's fun. I don't partake anymore. I don't hop in the comments. The current one is people are complaining about like capabilities. They don't want like the VM to be able to access the internet, like the steel, like any arbitrary plugin to access like open a TCP connection. I do think it's a fair, like, I think we talked about it the other day, the capability stuff. I thought about it more, and it's like, I think if you're that paranoid, you should just fire jail it or whatever, or like slap it in a VM if you're that paranoid. But also, I think having fine-grained control over the resources that you access is really cool. So I've been like, just as again, like, I think if you're really paranoid, that's the only solution that would satisfy you. From like a design perspective, I think it'd be really cool to come up with a way to do scoped capabilities. I agree 100%. So the reason I think it could be warranted in the plugin thing is that, like, you can, when you create, like, the embedder API, or like the person embedding has the ability to limit like what features are available to the VM. And the naive solution is you just fundamentally limit the VM. You say the VM doesn't have file system access. Like the Steel VM, sorry. Like the Steel engine doesn't have file system access, or the Steel engine doesn't have TCP primitives, and the Steel engine doesn't have XYZ. But on the flip side, if you do that, then no one has them, which sucks. Right? And then you would need a flag or something to make it available versus not. You could do that at runtime, but I feel like you should have like a more granular, a more granular approach. So I don't know if you were here when I did it. Like I pulled up the capabilities PR that I've been working on, and I ran into a fundamental flaw. Would be curious on your thoughts if you care to contribute. But the idea is, like, the way I did it is I wrap like the exported functions. Yeah, it's not required for the PR to go in by any stretch. I'm just like I started working on it like years ago, so I was like, maybe there's, I don't know, I read some paper from someone like 15 years ago that someone had forwarded to me, and I was like, I could do this shit, like maybe I could do it. But the way I do the capabilities is that it wraps exported functions from a module. So if you're in a module, foobar or foo.scm, and you export bar, and bar like reads a directory, then when you require that module, you'll say like, hey, I'll require this module, but any exported functions that come out of it, you say like they're not allowed to access. You could say they can have they can have read access, but they can't have write access, and you can like specify down to the directory level. The problem with that though, like that works, everything works. It's actually slick as hell, and I really think the ergonomics of it are very cool, and I think it's an interesting design perspective where you say like, and it works for like glob patterns too, so you can imagine a world where you're like making making like a web server, and you say like all these functions simply can't access anything outside of this directory or any subdirectories, and then you have like path traversal problems are like fixed at like the module level, which is kind of cool, I guess. Like it'll be enforced at every file system access. So anyway, I'm like, that's cool. Problem though is that if you have two modules, A and B, that share C, what capabilities do you supply C? So then it begs the question, okay, so then everything gets wrapped. So that's what I do is like I just wrap everything. It's like there's a stack of capabilities. But what do you apply at module initialization? Because C won't get reinitialized. A and B both depend on C. So if you require A brings in C. Maybe you apply the capabilities of A onto C. But then B also, like, so I guess maybe it's not a problem. Maybe you should just apply the first capabilities that are encountered, and that's what gets encountered in that module. Maybe that's fine. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But anyway, lots to do, and I currently have to go to a job, so. Yeah, it's like, it works for exported functions, where I just do a stack, where effectively they get merged, where you'll apply all the rules, and you can, like, flatten them and whatnot. The part that's unclear is, like, if you have top-level code that runs in a module, what rules do you apply for the first load? And I think the answer is you just apply the rules to those top level functions for whatever was first in your traversal. But I don't know. Because I guess I would say you could apply all the rules. Like if you knew that like two modules would result, like both had a shared dependency. So like A and B both had C, and you knew that statically like at one time, then you could apply all of the capabilities for the top level code there. That's just running on module initialization. But if we're at like the REPL and you're doing it like one by one, where like you load one module and then you type some shit and then you load another module, what do you do? I'm inclined to believe that maybe that's just fine. Like what I've just described is fine. But I haven't thought through like all the edge cases there. That like I haven't thought enough all the way through it yet. So, anyway, but I figured out, at least with Catan, I found myself goofing up. Is that like the architecture I have? It basically requires that like the game state will not update locally until the server replies. And I wasn't modeling the latency correctly. And I didn't realize for a long time that I wasn't doing it right. So now I'm trying to model it, that there's obviously like latency with the server. And you don't necessarily want to like wait to apply your game state locally until the server replies, right? Because that would be a bit of a pain in the ass. Like every time you click a button, you would wait until the server replies. I think it would be fine in general, but it doesn't seem like awesome. That you would want, I feel like you would want some kind of like, maybe we could apply the game state locally first and then wait for the server to come through with a response that then is like, actually, that's cool. Your state is good. And you like coalesce them. So that's one approach. But at least at a minimum, I was trying to make sure that, yeah, client side prediction for a turn based game. Yeah, I understand it's overkill. I understand it's overkill. Okay. But I am just screwing around. Okay. But also, I figure I feel like it's kind of like a small enough scope that it would be like a good exercise. But before I even do the client side prediction, I'm trying just to make sure that like I don't have obvious flaws in my logic currently. So I just started inserting sleeps randomly and then everything fucking broke. So I think there's flaws in the logic, especially with how the UI is updating. So that's my it didn't break that bad. But so that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to like fix it tonight. Just like make it a little bit better. So like and, how far I get doesn't really matter. I'm tired. But yeah, so then the first things first, I just threw in like if I throw in 10 milliseconds, which isn't very much, like the initial place. What the hell? What happened there? It just immediately crashed. What is that about? Are you what happened here? All right, that one's weird. We'll come back to that. That's what I'm saying. This game is not. This is built with a box of scraps. That was crazy. That's what I'm saying. I want to make this shit robust, just for the sake of over engineering, and then like, I want like I don't remember. I was just talking about this last night. Is basically, I'm using like Raylib now, but I want to use my own. Like, I want to either use like WebGPU or something, or WGPU, whatever it's called. I want to use that instead of Raylib, and I kind of want to just like hand roll everything. But at a minimum, I think all of this stuff doesn't involve Raylib at all. What I'm trying to solve. So like Raylib's fine as a test bed. And then when I get like the client server discussion thing working, I'll make the game playable. I'm not going to like rewrite the whole game from scratch by any means, but I want it to be functioning. Hell yeah. Hope did you take the train or the shuttle back today? Shuttle would have been pain. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, mine was tough. It took me like an hour and a half to get home today. It's fucking miserable. But see, now I do this, and now all of a sudden the thank you, appreciate it. Now this is goofed up. So this is supposed to be highlighting available places. So like it's highlighting the available settlements correctly, but it's highlighting the edges as well. So then I can place here, but then the available edges are like screwed up. Okay. So then the colors are all wrong too. What did I do, man? I must have goofed up a color thing. This is crazy. Let's see. So then if I take out all the sleeps. Oh, yeah. I goofed up. There's something going wrong with the colors, too. All right. Well, first things first. Let's try to reproduce some of the issues, and then I will continuously hone as we do. So I'll lock in for a little bit here. What's up? What's your rank? What's your rank in Counter-Strike? Okay. So something's goofed up. Something's goofed up. You're getting primed for a 4K placement. That's what happened to me. I lost like 2 games to start, dropping like 45 kills. And then I played only games with like 4 to 12K. I won 10 straight or whatever. I still got placed at 4K. Only took me a month to get back though. I really gotta find that clip, man. My highlight reels. There's an unlisted clip of my best game of all time. How did you get kicked? What were you saying? Or is it like a 4Q that decided they wanted to get rid of you? All right. Let's check out. I'm curious. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't take much to set someone off in the game. People you miss one trade kill and or like you goof something up one time, you miss one smoke. People would be dropping dangerous words. All right. Let me try this again. Okay, it's like just the UI state is goofy. You're correct. It's part of the charm. It's part of the charm of the game. CS wouldn't be CS without some of the most heinous words you've ever heard ever in a game. We actually, when I was playing, we had a bunch of spreadsheets that we kept. So the first was we had a spreadsheet of unique words that we heard. Some of the bleeding edge of insults and heinous things people have said. I don't know where the spreadsheet is, but it was really funny at the time where you just hear something and you're like, I don't even know if I like should be offended by this because it's like never heard anyone say it before. And then like 6 months it would enter the cultural, like 6 months later, someone would see it like on Twitter or something and you're like, oh my God, I was there when that was created. And then besides that, we also had a team. We had a spreadsheet of teams that we consistently beat. So that was really fun. And then we retired. We retired when one of the spreadsheet teams beat us. We said, that's it. We're done. Yeah, we just couldn't do it. We were like, all right, because I remember there was one team and like everyone on the team was like, they were like 12 or something. It was ridiculous. Like we knew they were really young. And we were just we would boot up. I did get kicked from the team, but that team disbanded like 3 weeks later. So it was like that was like the first like we're done, but then that team disbanded. And then like 3 months later, we did like another season of Open, and that was when we were like we're cooked. Because or it wasn't 3 months later. It was like 6 months later or something. That was when we were like, we're cooked. And then that was when we really hung it up. It's true. It is crazy not being subbed. You got your Twitch Primes available. Many people are saying this. You're not made of money. I always got my mind on the money. That way I can walk my dog 3 times a day. That's the goal here. But yeah, there was this team of like 12-year-olds. And anytime they were up, like anytime they were up looking for like scrims, we'd be like, "Oh shit. Let's play them." And we would play them, and it was like 16-1. 16-2, 16-3, 16-1, 16-1. It was like months of this. And then we all didn't play for like a few months, and then we came back. They beat our ass, and we were like, that's it. We are done. They beat us like repeatedly. I think it was like, I remember it was a game on Nuke or something, and we just had no answer to anything they were doing. And we were, you'd peek a corner and you're dead before you can do anything. It was like 3 games in a row. That like the first game we were like, we're just having an off day, whatever. Second game we were like, okay, maybe we're actually like, maybe they're just better than us now. And then the third game we were like, we're not running that back. Unemployed. I'm sorry to hear that. Being unemployed kind of sounds nice. Me at my job being like, I would love to be unemployed. Me when I don't have a job, man, I wish I was employed. That's the biggest problem. The dichotomy of man. Yeah, the new generation, they are cracked at CS. It's the aiming. The problem is the aiming, they're just better at aiming. They're just better at aiming. Okay. Local game UI. What is it? Game UI state? Something's up with my UI state. Okay. Process board selections. When do I call this? What was even happening? I've already forgotten. I click the button. I click the button. I click the button. Okay, so it's showing. It's showing it's showing the roads, and I need to be doing the settlements. Okay. And it's only on initial placement 2. Some of this code is absolutely cooked. You ever just like write a bunch of code and then not look at any of it that you did? That's me these days. Where am I? Local game on draw impl. Here we go. Okay, so we're in initial placement. Okay, so this is being we're still in initial placement 1. So we're not moving to initial placement 2 is the problem. Okay, so when does that happen? When does the game phase get converted? Is start next placements. So I'm losing start next placements perhaps. Processing initial. Okay, that's fine. Let's just see. Our state is getting desynced. Phase initial placement. 2, the bots are doing that. Okay. And turn initial placements. All right. This is crazy. Why did I do this? And turn initial placement. So we... Okay, so I advance. We go next turn initial placements. On draw impul. Okay. Okay, so we're still here. Draw edges show available. Check connected to last. That's odd. That's odd. I mean, I might as well just print the... Might as well while we're here. Just clutter this up like crazy. Okay, so we are in initial placement 2. Okay, well that's helpful. So it is advancing. And then this is draw vertices show. Okay, so draw edges show available. That's so bizarre. Draw edges show available. Okay. If what's odd is I'm still highlighting the I'm still highlighting these edges. which is bizarre. Because that would imply that this this number, the number on my vertex, is getting marked as 2. Diabolical nesting, yeah, it's handcrafted artisanal code. Why is this vertex? And there's something real messed up there. I wonder if I have some some very questionable behavior here. Um, hmm. Hand display. Hmm. This shit is horrendous. Why is that coming out as black? I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh, that part I'm gonna forget about until I figure out this part. Okay, so our game phase is correct. So that's good. And then draw edges, show available. Okay, so we're going to look at all the hexes. We're going to look at all the edges. Okay, we go through each thing. Yeah, I know I was doing that. I already fixed that. Me. If can place road by data and connected. How is the number 2? When do I even set that number? Place settlement by key. Okay, settlement count. Okay. I didn't anticipate this. Okay, so the settlement number is getting updated to 2, which is not good, when the settlement number is 1. So that's the problem. Okay, so settlement placed, I apply. Yeah. Okay, place settlement by key. Player vertex. I think it's the update is getting applied twice. That's what it seems like. Somehow. I think this will do it. What the hell? I was wrong. I thought I was out of sync for the current player. Place settlement by key. Place settlement by key. Place settlement by key. Place initial settlement. Place initial settlement. Let's see. I may have to do that debugging I was doing again. Okay, so it still thinks that this is the settlement count. It thinks that this settlement count is wrong. Oh, Who is the current player, though? Maybe the player's wrong. Well, the player's right. That's crazy. What the heck? Debug x dot owner x dot number. Like, I haven't even placed it yet. It just thinks that it's too straight up. Is it receiving the update twice, maybe? Okay, so for when we place the settlement, we place the settlement by key. And then we update it to have this number. Okay. All right. So when I placed my first settlement, it said settlement. Hold on, that's odd. Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's applying the update multiple. It's applying multiple times. I think it's sending the action multiple times. It should only send one time. I see. I wonder if there's a way to make it like idempotent. I don't know how you pronounce that actually. Idempotent. But also like idempotency sounds really cool. Putting the emphasis on the second part, idempotency. Kind of goes hard. Idempotent. Idempotency. I have no idea. Idempotent? Is it an E? Is it I as an E? I before E? If it were Latin, wouldn't it be idempotent? Because I's are J's? Or jidempotent? Actually, I have no idea.
Idempotent.
It says idempotent. That's what Google says if you're willing to believe them. I think my favorite thing about Latin is that they just what was it? You have your declensions and your conjugations, and I think it was like the int sound, int. They would just skip that even if the pattern says it because they were like, we don't like it. That's at least what I was taught. I don't know if that's true. I didn't study classics in college, but I remember my Latin teacher just she was like, yeah, apparently yeah, exactly. Floats only. Java Latin the Latin people, the Latin speaking peoples of ancient Rome, big JavaScript people. Many people are saying this. They loved floats. But yeah, apparently they just didn't like that sound. So if it like there were a couple different times it would come in and they would just be like, "Nah, we don't like that." And they would just let it go. Also, we might have a dog spotting. Hold on. He left actually. That's very sad. He scratched at the door and then disappeared. Okay, so then if this player already owns it, just don't do anything. Let's see if that works for the purposes of this. There we go. All right, one bug. Okay, one bug down. Okay, new bug, new bug. My hand updating is busted. Obviously, as everything is busted. It should be showing my current hand. So that's odd. It's obviously drawing. And it should be updating like every frame. Should be updating every frame, but it's always 0. Okay. It's always 0. Okay, why is it always 0, man? Okay, I have resources. 770. Why do I have 7? It's giving me 21 cards. A single CS2 match lasts about as long as a single co-pilot request. That's crazy. That's a long time. A single co-pilot request takes like a half an hour. What are you asking it to do? Is this grift? You continuing the grift? Oh, it was that easy, huh? Just implement a call CC and syntax case? That easy. Should I peruse it? Should I do a little code review? What's wrong with it? Did you tell it to make no mistakes? The diff didn't render by default. It's too big. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you just ask it to be perfect, I mean, like if it does anything less, then it's a failure, right? Why isn't it should obviously just do it. Your code? Don't you mean the collective our code? Such as LLM, post LLM world? That's okay. I won't look at it. Don't worry. I was perusing, but I won't pull it onto the screen. I'll look later. The biggest thing with call CC is you don't want to. Here's the trick. I'll tell you. If you run into any performance problems, which I doubt you'll actually run into this in real practice. Yeah, well, how many people use grift and how many people use steal? There's literally dozens of us. Literally dozens. I haven't encountered one real world use of let syntax. What's that meme? The like, there's no computers weren't meant to do X. There's no real world applications of X X X. They've taken you for the et cetera, et cetera. You know the one I'm talking about. That's how I feel about let syntax. Also, I'm pretty sure I could implement it if I felt like doing it. I think the macros have gotten good enough now. Because I fixed both the cases. I fixed both the cases from yesterday. I fixed both of them. You're just a fuzzer, but you like walk around and stuff. Aren't we all just fuzzers? You know, like the fuzzers, they're like the, fuzzing. But you're just like a guy. Oh, I already ran cargo. Is this? See? That's number 1 right there. And I even did it. I did it across oh boy, that's zoomed in. It even works across modules. That was a tricky part. Obviously, I haven't updated the LSP yet, so it's going to report the errors. So now you can export. Yet no real world applications found for redefining macros. That insert meme once again. There we go. We got there. There was one more bug, right? Oh, the yeah, if you redefine lambda, it's not going to work. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that much. And I'm not sure I want to make it legal. So I'll also tell you that much. Because lambda isn't a macro. Neither is define. I understand that like Racket lets you do it and some of the other things do it, but I also think it's insane to like actually do that. The Petrovsky let also works. That one was actually really easy. That was just a bug. I thought it was more nefarious looking at it because of all of the parens. And I was looking at I was looking at it on my phone and I was like, why doesn't this work? Why doesn't this work? Why doesn't this work? And then I like looked at the generated code and I was like, oh shit. And it was pretty clear. Like this was yeah, what was it, this thing? Oh jeez. Oh my god. Copy to clipboard, please. Fucking whatever, dude. I can't copy to my clipboard apparently. There we go. There we go. Fixed. But yeah, Lambda for sure not gonna work. Like I don't even think this will work. Yeah. And I'm not sure it ever will work. Nor do I really care to make it work. I think in Racket you can do this. And then you've just hosed like any program. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. It just kind of defeats the, I don't know. I don't think it's particularly practical, but that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. One of these days I'll get there. So what model did you use for your macros, huh? How did you implement syntax case? If it was so easy, what did you do? Opus, huh? It's You'd be perfect for corporate America, I'll tell you that. I'm looking at the code now. I'm looking at the code. You can't stop me. So did you use P syntax? Or did you implement it from scratch? Have you like run a syntax case command and did it like actually do anything? Hmm. My computer's cooking. Oh, no interrupt. New feature. New feature request. I would like to control C. All right, let's see. How do I just run? Can I just run a file? Is that possible? Only by piping? Hmm. Hmm. Okay, it has something in here. Okay, it's doing something. It's doing something. It's doing something. Is it actually doing anything though? These just look like normal macro rule or syntax rules. Can I is print a thing? Okay. I don't think it's doing what you think it's doing. Yeah. But wouldn't it? So first, oh, display is only implemented as a REPL command. Is there a print function at all? But I would have expected it to have called it here. Like, I would have expected this to have been, like, macro expanded here. Are macros, like, lazily expanded? I mean, it depends. It depends on your implementation. I would have expected it to have been macro expanded here at definition, but I guess you could lazily expand the macro. Yeah, I'll throw this off to the side. I didn't mean to put you on blast like that. I was just curious. I was curious if it managed to get it working because it's really hard. So I was expecting. I didn't mean to put you on blast. Don't worry. I mean nothing but the best. If you can make a pocket list machine, I'm all for it. Okay, let's go back to our regularly scheduled program. Okay, so I think I'm distributing resources multiple times. It's 100%. You're absolutely right. Now you're speaking like a seasoned Lisp programmer. This stuff is just this isn't designed for the end user. This is designed for the implementer to do stuff with. End users are not going to be writing this. Not often, at least. You wouldn't be whipping this out on your everyday. Oh, and then the other thing I was saying, like, for call CC, the trick is to not actually copy anything if possible. The easy way is to clone the stack and shove it into a variable and say, I'll come back to you later. If you do that, you will grind to a halt anytime you try to actually invoke call CC in any hot way. Anytime you actually try to do anything with that, it's gonna be like that's performant. You're gonna have a bad time. The trick is to like lazily copy it or like copy on write basically. That's the trick. Whether or not you care depends. Okay, your whole continuation stack is stored in the arena as linked list, and I just to take a pointer to. Yeah, I guess if you have the arena, so you're not. Are you freeing ever? I guess you're just doing what, a mark and sweep. Yeah. What's the GC? A mark and sweep. Okay. Whole continuation stack is stored in the arena as linked list, and you just have to take a pointer to the end. Yeah, you should be okay then. So every stack frame is a point is allocated on the heap, like a cell, and then you just zip them up. Okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying. Heap meaning area where memory is. Okay, I mean, yeah, that should work. That should be fine. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program. Something is absolutely messed up here. I somehow I have 8 billion cards. Somehow. So this is like distribute resources from second settlement. I think is happening many times. So we're I don't think it's overflow. It could be. I think I'm just processing this diff multiple times. This is where I screwed up originally because I didn't include sequence numbers into my messages. So I'll probably do that offline. So I'll just include sequence numbers into everything so I can just be like, don't do this thing multiple times. But I think it's that I'm calling start normal game loop. Ah, Jesus. Jeez Louise. This is end turn. I think end turn initial placement is getting called correct. Okay. I figured out what the problem is. So this is where it is. This is just happening multiple times. It really should only get sent once. Yeah, it's happening like a stupid amount of times. I don't understand though. I check if it's your turn. Oh, but it is my turn. Oh, that's so interesting, isn't it? Um is equal game phase. Um Okay. Okay. I think this will do it if I'm understanding the problem correctly. There we go. Okay, well, not really. That actually didn't fix the problem. I thought it did. I was wrong. Because we're still. Why are we doing that? Starting normal game loop. Starting normal game loop. Starting normal game loop. Oh, because I don't actually. Do I update? No, I don't. Oh, it's just a bug. Crazy. Maybe that's it. I don't actually update the game state. There we go. Awesome. Look at that. We're fixing bugs. Rookie mistake. Not doing the thing that I'm supposed to do. You know who wouldn't make that mistake? You one guess. That's right. He wouldn't. He wouldn't be making mistakes like that. And you know why he's not making mistakes like that? Because I told him don't make any mistakes. I said don't make any mistakes, and he made mistakes. It's rookie behavior, amateur hour. But I don't. It's okay. I'm a human. I'm only human. Okay, that's awesome. Now let's ramp up the let's ramp up the sleep. Let's make sure that my code is ready for production. Rocket emoji. It is not ready for production. Rocket emoji. Very, very suspect. Where does it start to fall apart? Okay, that seemed to work. Why is it okay, so it seems that it processes the actions. Okay. And then I think it's because these actions are not coming across as idempotent. Yeah. Okay. Very busted. Okay, so I think it's time that I have to set up sequence numbers for actions. I think it's time. Also, I really need to make it so that it only sends like one time. I think that's a big problem. Because like I click the button and it sends multiple times. You know, that's probably the problem. That might be an issue. Okay, so how would I do it with sequence numbers? That's the question. I've never done this before. Okay, so instead I'll have like a... This will come from like a player and a number and then an action. So then the sequence number would get, like the action sequence number would get updated probably on response. Right? Am I crazy to believe that? Let me see here. I was reading this earlier, which was interesting. So I don't really care about cheating yet. Okay, that's fine. But basically, I have a number. Yeah, sir. Yeah. Yeah, so like we start synchronized at like 0. Like this client has 0. And when I send, like, until I've received a, yeah, I have to implement P2P rollback networking. Yeah, of course. How else am I going to play, you know, if I shoot, is it going to, you know, it says I hit him on my screen. You know what I mean? It says I hit him. Shots 1 through 5 missed. Clearly missed. Shots 2 through, or 5 through 8, something or another, whatever, you know that one, the Hiko meme. And then basically once I get the diff back, won't I update? I am not using any networking stack. Good old myself. Yeah, at the moment it doesn't really exist. I was using TCP. Well, I was using a WebSockets library a long time ago. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. I want to implement WebSockets in Steel from scratch, so I might just implement them in Steel. We'll see. I think I'll probably use like Tokyo Tungstenite or something to get started. Haven't gotten that far yet. Like I have it, like it, you know, I can make a WebSocket connection. I was just going to use WebSockets, probably, but I don't think it really matters. Whatever I come up with. Yeah, there's 2 guys on me right now. There's 2 guys. 2 guys here. Is that not like the most overkill shit ever? I mean, I already talked about doing like client side prediction for a turn-based game. And now I throw on Iro. That could be the move. Yeah, so I have to do this. So basically, when I send an action, the server will simply disregard the action if the numbers don't match. That's it. Yeah, but like, what if I just put a box, like I get a VPS somewhere and I throw the shit on there? Is it that big of a deal? Don't you still need a relay box somewhere or no? Even for IRO. Am I incorrect on that? Am I out of touch? Oh, they provide relays for you? What if I don't trust them? I don't trust people. What if they look at the bits from my turn-based video game? That's an invasion of my privacy. How dare they? I'm just baiting. I mean, even if it was unencrypted, I wouldn't care. I mean, it's just a bunch of Catan board state game. I don't think anyone's gonna give a shit what's in there. I mean, I'll take a look. I'll take a look for sure. I want to get this part right because I think if I implement this correct, it should, like, if I implement the part at the game layer where I'm like, okay, you have like the client server architecture understood, then the networking part of it I can kind of handle independently as long as I plumb it up to the channels right. That's my plan at least. Is that everything's just abstracted, but I got channels. I got message passing, I got channels, I got actors. They're going and doing their own thing. And then I'll go slap it onto a box somewhere. That's the plan. And then I'll implement all the graphics myself too. That's the next step. And we'll host it on my own database. And then I'll rewrite everything in Steel from scratch. And then I'll also put it on my own OS on bare metal on the processor and chip that I designed and built in my garage. On the silicon that I mined with my hands. I think we're opposite people. You prefer generating slop. Use the S word. Dare I say it? I'm joking, by the way. But also, I get enough of that at work. Get back to work. Oh no. Okay, so we gotta do. I can't be banning viewers when I got 4 viewers. It's tough out here. I can't be banning them. It's not. Well, I definitely can be, but I can't be making it a habit. The this is a bummer. I think the complexity just grew. Actually, I don't think it grew that much. Okay, so let's. Any new theme? Any new theme I should use? Kind of tired of this one. I could rock that bad boy. That could work. Okay. Okay, so then this actually has to be... I need more in my local game state. We need a seek. We need a sequence number. Okay. We have our game context. We have our sequence number. Is it weird to just pass a pointer to a usize? Is that weird? Is that weird? Not my finest code. Okay, so we have a sequence number. Sequence number. Okay. And then apply diff. I basically just have to like ignore. I just have to ignore requests that don't match the sequence number. And then the diff also has to come back. The diff has to come back with a player, the diff, which is the game state diff, and a new sequence number. Okay. Kind of cooking here. So then after the sequenced game state diff, what am I looking to do here? We're probably... Okay, so now I have this like apply diff function. Okay. So then these now... Okay, I'm about to just... You know what? Let's checkpoint here before I get too involved. All right, let's do. Okay, so now we're going to send sequenced game action, and we're going to receive sequenced game state diffs. Ensue chaos. Okay, so then if diff dot sequence number is greater than self dot sequence number. Actually, okay, apply the diff. Local game state. We're going to and it's going to take an action. It's just a game action. And we're going to do self dot action sender dot send sequence game action self dot game dot current player as player, and the number is the sequence number, the action is the action. Perfect. Sequenced game action. Okay, perfect. And now we're just going to do app.send instead. Perfect. Now to fix all of the real errors. Okay. We send. Okay. Okay, we're cooking now. Almost done. Almost done. Okay, cool. And then authoritative game state. I need to keep track of the sequence numbers. Or actually, can I just have a global sequence number? I think everyone sees the same sequence number. As long as it's monotonically increasing, like, it doesn't matter. I think that's fine. Bot diffs. Okay, this has got to be now sequenced and sequenced and sequenced. Gotta be 0. Sequenced. I really gotta fix all these frickin' warnings. Sequenced. And sequenced and sequenced. Okay. Progress. Close. Now we just go to main. Okay, so now I will do... Okay, we'll just do... Game sequenced, game state diff. Diff. I don't need the player. I need to get rid of that. Sequence number. Okay, and then it's like if action dot let's see, send. Okay, this is like the actual server. So I need to do the sequence number stuff here. Okay, so what am I trying to do? If the sequence number is not the same as the server, so they'll both be 0. Yeah, I guess it's just like if action not equal to sequence number. Catch you later, boss. Have a good one. I'm going to call it soon as well. I just want to get this to compile. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, we're cooked. We're cooked. It immediately died. Okay, but you know what? That's fine. But why? All right, well, we got it to compile. Now I got some bugs. I think I may call it myself because I'm gassed. But, thanks everyone for watching. I know it was not exactly the best stream of my life, but it was, we made some progress. Catch you all later. Thanks for watching. Of course, shoot me if you want me to take a look, I'm happy to. I'll shoot you the thing that I said I would right after this. Anyway, see ya.